Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I am a nutrition entrepreneur. But here's the catch. I have a full-time traditional dietitian job. My entrepreneurial endeavors are my side hustle. I've been making six figures through my job and side hustle doing things that I love. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 53rd episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Wellbeing with Grace. Today I'll be interviewing Grace Hamrick. Grace is a registered dietitian, certified leap therapist, and health coach with a passion for educating women on clean living. Grace is a student in our very own Blogging Accelerator Program, and she runs her website, Wellbeing with Grace, which focuses on sharing simple tips and solutions to make healthy lifestyle changes. Her website features easy recipes, sustainable kitchen tools, safer skincare options, non-toxic home products, and so much more. So welcome to the podcast, Grace. Would you like to share a few words before we get started?
I just want to thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. This is actually my first podcast. So it's quite a fun adventure for me.
Yay. Well, I'm so happy to have you. So can we start off by having you, share with the audience a little bit more about yourself and how you got into the clean living space?
Sure. So I think part of it is just the clean living space is who I am. I've always really been interested in the environment and sustainability and how can we do things healthier in all ways of, products in our home and as well as the foods that we're eating. So I was a second career dietitian before I was in business and actually a financial advisor and went back to school for nutrition. So I have a little bit of a different background path. And it's just kind of unique. I've just wanted to kind of get into the clean living space. And it wasn't until I pivoted a little while ago that I really kind of dove in and was like, this is what I want to be doing. So why am I not doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you said, that this is who I am. And I think it's wonderful when you can take like your passion, those things you're so excited about, and combine it with like your education, your credential. And that's what you've done. So I think that is so awesome. And I didn't know that you were a second career dietitian, that you were a financial advisor before. So I just learned something new about you.
People are like, that's so different. I'm like, really, it's not, because you're still helping people. And it's both require a lot of listening, but you're just helping them in different areas of their life.
Yes, absolutely. So I love that with your brand, Wellbeing with Grace, you focus on your broader passion outside of dietetics. In addition to nutrition, you write articles about, eco-friendly, non-toxic products and more. And I think a lot of dietitians feel like they could only talk about nutrition and food topics. So what advice would you give to those dietitians who really want to step outside of this lane?
I would say, get confident. I think confidence goes so far. And people don't really care what your credentials are. Yes. As long as you're confident in the message you're delivering and you're, knowledgeable and providing a solution for them.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. Sometimes that's a message dietitians don't want to hear, that people don't care about our credentials, because we care deeply. Like, it took us a long time to get those credentials, but you are so right. I mean, people don't care about our credentials. They care about what we can do for them and how we can help them. I know we were just actually talking right before we hit record about how you saw online, there's someone who's offering a course about nutrition and all of this stuff, and they're not even a dietitian. And that's what we see. Yeah. So
she's I just found her today on Instagram, and she's focused on food freedom. And I was like, oh, let me check her credentials, because I was just curious. And she didn't know certifications. So, I mean, you can really do anything, if you go in it with confidence.
Yes, you absolutely can. And as dietitians, we have that, we have the extra edge. Even though people don't care, we care because we're going to give them correct information. And I really do believe that we, as dietitians online, we're going to be able to kind of trump people who, just because I eat food, I do stuff. People are more likely to go to someone like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know there was a credential in this, because, most people don't. And, and so, I think that there's a lot of value and so much space for dietitians to really go online and take over the online space, because we really need to, for the public and also for for us personally. So I love that. So get confident. And that's something that a lot of dietitians struggle with. They struggle with imposter syndrome. They struggle with, not feeling like they're good enough or know enough. So confidence is absolutely key. Awesome. So you were in the very first cohort of the Blogging Accelerator Program, which I honestly can't believe it's almost been a year since we met. So I would love it if you could update our listeners on really why you started your blog, Wellbeing with Grace, and how it's going.
So I wanted to blog since 2010. And it's now 2021. And I started a blog a long time ago, and I think I've made one post on it. And it was, I knew nothing about SEO, but that one post, I was like, man, this is a lot of work. And so, life happened, distractions, it just wasn't the right timing for whatever reasons. And so then once I met Katie online, I just felt this connection with her. And with, your program and the community we've built has just been so amazing. And so that combined with Erica's courses, I felt like I could really jump in and understand and have the time to put into it. Mm-hmm. But really why I wanted to blog is for income and flexibility. Mm-hmm. And I was joking because my husband was running late tonight and I didn't have childcare. So I just threw my kids in front of the TV to do this podcast. But with my home life, I need flexibility. So that the idea that I can be present for my kids and then be able to write and pour into something on my own time that can generate income is really ideal for me and for my current situation. So that's kind of really why I wanted to do it. But I've loved being part of the Blogging Accelerator Program and just love the whole community and getting to know some of the other girls that started in our cohort. It's just so fun to see everyone's progress because we're all at different points. And, I just try and do, one thing every day that can move me forward. And if I can stick to that, Greg Todd would probably want 3 things a day. But if I can do one, I feel like I'm doing really well.
Yes. Awesome. Well, yes, I will take anything that you do every day to move yourself forward and your business forward. That is awesome. So I like that you shared that you've been wanting to blog since 2010 and it took you till 2020 to start that blog. So that is 10 years, which is perfectly fine because I will say there's a lot of people listening who they have this dream in their head and they've been thinking about doing something maybe even before they became a dietitian. And it's just something that never really happens. And sometimes we need that moment that really forces us to take a dream out of our head and put it into reality. So I'm so proud of you that you've taken this, idea that was in your head and now it exists. It's out there on the internet, and with time and the strategy that you're doing to create content, I know that over time it will continue to grow and lots of people will go there and have all this great nutrition and health information. So and the other part I like that you shared was how you started your blog for income and flexibility. That's a lot of the reason I started mine too. I've got 2 kiddos at home and I like just being able to bring in income, but do it on my own time, like when they're asleep or when they're not around, or, if there's just a lot of flexibility compared to a traditional job or even a, traditional part-time job where you're still, going somewhere and it's a whole different ball of wax. So that's so exciting. So my next question for you was, I talk about this on the podcast quite frequently, how blogging is a long-term game. It's not like you just push publish on a blog and all of a sudden you got tons of people coming and you're rolling in the dough. It's not how it works. But we do know that it works. So it's, it takes some time to build up traffic and to actually make money through your blog. And that's why I also talk about, it's really beneficial to have multiple streams of income, especially things that can make you money now and things that will make you even more money later. And that's what the blog is. It can make you even more money later, especially passive income. So can you share with our listeners more about how you currently make money through your business while you're really waiting for that blog to build up?
Right. And I also encourage everyone listening to kind of sit down and think about your 5-year goals because blogging is a long-term game. So, if in 5 years, what do you want the picture to look like? But so how currently I'm bringing in income is I rep with Beauty Counter, which is an amazing company to be a part of. It's really helped build my confidence, but it's also in this sustainable, environmental friendly, just kind of non-toxic products. So it just kind of fits right in with what I'm passionate about. And I never thought about partnering with a company like that before. I had interviewed at a functional medicine doctor's office here in Raleigh, and they had beauty counter brochures on the shelf. And at the time, I had a private practice, and then had decided to step away from it because I just didn't want all the business part. Like I enjoyed seeing the clients, but I kind of just wanted. It's kind of funny because I came out of school, started private practice, and then I'm like, wait, this is too much. I don't want this, which I feel like is what everyone strives to do, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to pivot and take a step back. And I was like, well, if I could just go work for somebody else and just see the clients, because that's what I enjoy doing. So I went in to interview for this health coach position at a functional doctor's office, and they had beauty counter brochures on the shelf. And I was like, and I was like, do you sell it? They're like, no, this is the skincare brand we recommend for people as they try to reduce their overall toxic load. And so that interview, I didn't get the job, but that interview just like a light bulb went off because I was already using the products, and I was like, why would I not sell it? So it's been an amazing community to be a part of, but it's helped me build up this income stream that then I can take and use and invest in things like Katie's courses and coaching with her, where I wouldn't have that extra income to do. So there's tons of different side hustles and companies and different things to be a part of. But just finding, what, like I always say, what lights that fire in you? What gets you so excited to share every day? And then trying to find, something along those lines that you're excited to do, because if you're excited to do it, it makes it a lot easier.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't feel like work then. And
Right.
I think that story you were sharing about, how you got into private practice, that's why you went to school. You're like, I'm going to do this. Then you realize, oh, I don't totally love this. I think a lot of dietitians experience that. Maybe they go into clinical nutrition because that's what they're told they're supposed to do when they start. And they realize, I just don't love this. And you have this kind of cringe feeling of, oh, shoot, this is why I got the credential. But I think so many people don't realize how many opportunities are available for us and things that we could do with this credential outside of what we're traditionally taught in school. So thinking of untraditional things like how, you're doing with Beauty Counter and how you're creating your blog business. And there's a lot of different things that we can do as a dietitian. And if you realize you don't love a specific area of dietetics, that's okay. You're still a great dietitian, and there's still lots of things that you can do in lots of ways you could help people. It's just a matter of figuring out like, what can I do? And, how can I do it? You just happen to stumble upon it.
Too. I had a lot of guilt for, because I'd spent all this money to go back to school and then to invest in getting a private practice started. And it was just hard because I didn't feel like it was the right thing at this time, this stage of my life. And one day I might go back to it, but just being able to pivot and being fluid and, really kind of thinking about, okay, are you happy? Are you enjoying what you're doing? What kind of sparks you? What gets you excited?
Yeah, that is great advice, because I think you're right. That guilt feeling does really get to people, or it could leave people to sticking, like they can stick with something they don't love and they're miserable. And I love that, how you talked about like, that thing that lights your fire, the thing that you're excited about. And if you don't have that fire lit and, you're like, oh man, why not? Well, maybe it's time to, like you said, pivot and try something new. So awesome advice. So outside of blogging, how do you currently promote your brand Wellbeing with Grace?
So I mostly do it on Instagram. And, I'm not someone who's going to have a perfectly curated feed or anything, but I just try to be real and show my face and show, what I'm about, what I believe in. And it's really fun, but I feel like it's also important. And I've kind of learned a lot about this in the last year or so, to have that website. And even if you're not blogging, but to have a website that you can send people to, because Instagram might not always be there. And at one point, my account got locked for a week, and it's kind of like your account could get hacked and you might not get it back. So what else are you building that you can send people to if something like that happens?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's why I have, I have multiple audience, including my email list, because you're right. I know I've heard of a lot of dietitians who their accounts get locked. And then what happens? What happens if your account's deleted permanently? You get hacked. All that time you spent building up this audience can be gone like in a heartbeat. So that is a great point. And I do
content too,
yeah. Yeah. And if anyone is not following Grace, she's at Wellbeing with Grace on Instagram, and she makes some pretty awesome reels. So definitely recommend those. So, you've come a long way over the past year when it comes to, starting your blog and really building out your brand. So looking back, what advice would you have for our side hustlers who are listening, especially those who are just getting started?
I mentioned this a little bit before, but I would definitely sit down and think about, where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, what do you want? And I say 5 years because to me, 10 years is too hard to think about, but 5 years, it's going to be here before we know it, so where do you want to be? What do you see yourself doing? And then kind of go back from there. So if I want to be, have a lot more income and have a lot of this flexibility, blogging's a long-term game. And same with a lot of direct sales companies. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight, so you got to figure out, how long is it going to take me to get to this level? And what do I need to be doing today to get there in 5 years? So, if you can get consistent with whatever you're trying to accomplish now, and just start chipping away at whatever your ultimate goal is.
Yes.
Starting your own blog, I highly recommend Katie's program. Or, doing something else. But don't be scared to take chances, and don't be scared to pivot, because you can always pivot back if it doesn't work out.
Yes. And I think too, I would even add to that, when you're dreaming of your 5-year plan, like, dream even bigger. I think sometimes we play it safe and we have ideas in our head that are sometimes bigger than what we want to write on paper or say out loud to people, because it sounds crazy. So absolutely create those 5-year goals, but push yourself to dream bigger and to set things that almost feel unrealistic, because we typically rise to the level of what we think we can do. And if you set really big goals, you're more likely to really meet those goals. So that is wonderful advice.
And I also recommend, surround yourself with the people that are going big, because they're going to bring you with them. Where if you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't dreaming big, they're going to pull you down. So no, that's important to, what you're pouring into that as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's a really good point, because when you're dreaming really big, especially those crazy audacious goals, if you have someone who's maybe a naysayer, sometimes they could pull you down and make you feel like, oh, okay, maybe that idea did suck. But if you surround yourself with people who are dreamers, they'll be like, oh yeah, you can do it. And it changes just your belief in yourself and your excitement about things. So yeah, community is huge. Awesome. So this has been so fun chatting with you, Grace. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and, sharing your little pearls of wisdom, and also so people could learn about just, another story of a dietitian and what she's doing in the online space. Because again, there's so much that we could do as dietitians. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And where can people find you online?
So you can find me on my website at Wellbeing with Grace. I'm also on Instagram, and it's wellbeing.with.grace. But Katie, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy talking with you, and it's always so fun.
Yeah, thanks so much. Wow, guys, didn't Grace have so much good advice? I always love the opportunity to bring on a dietitian like Grace, who is just getting started in the blogging game and is doing something a little bit more untraditional within the field. So I hope that you all were inspired and really just interested in learning about what Grace is doing and how she combines her passions with blogging and all of this stuff. So if you are interested in learning more about my Blogging Accelerator program, go ahead and head on over to thedietitiansidehustle.com, click on the About dropdown, and there's a little section right there that will say blogging program. You can click on that to learn all about the program, or you could reach out, send a message to me at any time, and we could always hop on a call and chat to figure out, is this the right program for you? So I hope that you guys have an amazing day, and thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, guys. Be sure to head on over to the Dietitian Side Hustle website at dietitiansidehustle.com and check out our coaching page to learn about all the ways that we can work together. Have an amazing day, and I'm so proud of you for taking the initiative to listen to this podcast. Now go out there and get it done. Bye, guys.